Hignet's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central. For David Dunn! David Dunn equalises! It just had to be! Dack's corner and it goes. Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to our Boxing Day live stream as we review Rovers' match this afternoon at home to Sheffield Wednesday, a 1-1 draw. What could possibly go wrong? With me on the controls, with a beer in hand, we'll see how this stream goes. So my apologies in advance if I'm still a little bit merry from Christmas and this stream does not go as planned. Thank you all for giving up your time on Boxing Day and coming to chat to us about all things Rovers. It's another Boxing Day non-win for Rovers. I think I saw a stat that it was the last Boxing Day victory we had was in 2000 in the second tier. So carrying on a bit of a trend there, frustratingly so today. I'm joined by Joe from Rovers Analytics again. How are you, Joe?
Not so bad. Not so bad at all.
Good, good. How are you doing, Luke? Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yeah, really pleasant Christmas actually. Nice to have one day where we can see a little bit of family, so that was good. Yeah, all joyful and merry.
Excellent. And Jacob, how are you, mate?
Well, I feel like I'm contrasting a bit. I think Dizzy Thumb's comment sums up how I'm feeling, to be honest with you. But no, I had a nice Christmas, so yeah.
Good, good. And yeah, Dizzy, I always sympathise with you getting up so early to watch these games over in Tasmania. So it was a disappointing result for Rovers. A real shame. Well, before we start, we, of course, are sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thanks as ever to 6yardsout.com, and I hope you all got your Christmas gifts from them in time for your nearest and dearest yesterday. Just a reminder to everyone before we start, we did run this at the start of the stream. We have raised a fantastic £730 so far for the Salvation Army on the back of our Big Fat Rovers quiz earlier on this week. So we're really happy with that. There is still time to donate if you did want to do that. You can see that scrolling along the bottom. It's www.rcdonate.com. We are keeping the raffle open for people that do want to throw in some last-minute donations to rcdonate.com. You're in with a chance of winning a home or away shirt for this season. We'll probably close that off sometime tomorrow once we've just discussed that on the site. So please do get those donations into the Salvation Army. It's a really, really worthy cause, and we're really pleased with that amount that we've raised. So as usual, Rovers fans, please do interact with us this evening. I can see the comments are flying in. We will pick them all up as we usually do. If you're not following us on YouTube, we are Rovers Chat on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. We're really grateful for all the subscribers that we've got. And of course, if you're not following us on Twitter, it is Rovers_chat on Twitter. So Jacob, I'm going to come to you first if I can, mate. Just sum up your thoughts on the game today.
Feels like a loss, to be honest with you. It's definitely 2 points dropped. You can't come into a game against second bottom in the league at home, and if we are a team aspiring for playoffs, you can't be dropping 2 points, unfortunately. We looked very, very, very flat all game until the 3 changes were made and the formation changed. I feel like now this 4-3-3 has just been completely sussed out by managers. I don't know whether it's to do with that or not having Ben Brereton playing in that front three, but Sam Gallagher, he's been playing there, and I think he's scored a couple of goals, so I think he hasn't been getting as much criticism as he deserves, because it's not been working, unfortunately, with him in that front three. But it looked a lot better when the formation changed, and I think from now, I think we may have to start moving into this box formation, because I feel like it's just been completely worked out now. We had nothing going forwards until that formation change was made, and the substitutions were obviously made. It's not good enough. We can have 70% of the possession and still have less chances than Sheffield Wednesday had going into half time, and obviously we were a goal down as well. So as much as it's nice football and stuff, it's just simply not working, and something has to change.
Some interesting comments coming in, which I'll come to. But L. Scotty, I can confirm my family did me proud this Christmas and got me the Rovers home shirt for Christmas. So, you know, I do love them to bits. And yeah, they did get me the shirt. Some interesting comments, as I say. So Michael Pearson, I see this as a point gained, especially after the calamity and knowing how we struggle against bolted defences. And then Leap Year Man, tough to win games knowing that we can concede at any time for all our attacking intent. We can't iron out defensive errors. There we go. It was over 2 comments. So Luke, yeah, you know, sum up your thoughts on the game and the fact that we can have all this possession. We can be really good in attack. We have, you know, improved as a side massively, I think, over these last few years. But there is still that monkey on our shoulder, isn't there? That there's that one moment that a team can get that goal. How are you feeling after the game?
To an extent, I can agree with points Jacob's made on the. It is 2 points drops, and you do want to see us beating teams like Sheffield Wednesday. Of course you do, and that's no disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday, but you know we're building something here, and if we want to progress, then we have got to beat teams like Sheffield Wednesday. I actually don't think we were that bad in the first half, up to the point where. It was a calamitous mistake, of course it was, and there was a serious miscommunication there on whoever's part it was. But up to that point, I actually thought Barry Douglas was having a good game. He didn't really put a foot wrong. You know, granted he wasn't challenged as such. They didn't really threat whatsoever moving forward, and we looked completely comfortable. But I actually think that after that point, then he did look nervous, because it's almost as if he's a player low on confidence, and then he goes and makes an error like that. Like I said, 50-50, perhaps Iola's to blame as well. But I actually think up to it with that really did shake him. One thing I did notice was, and I've noticed this a few times now in recent games, earlier on in the season, it was almost as if Holtby was playing a little bit deeper. And I think the 2 or 3 streams now I've almost described him as a deep lying playmaker, which is where he seemed to have been having a lot of joy in the early season. And in the last couple of games, you see Rothwell dropping a lot deeper, picking the ball up from deep and making runs from deep. I almost think that's Mowbray thinking ahead for Dak coming back and trying to fit Dak and Rothwell in that midfield, and I think that's a bit of forward thinking. I think it's actually left us lacking that cutting edge maybe in the final third, and no disrespect to Hope, he's a quality footballer and can carve chances and can carve defences open, but he's left us lacking, I think, in that final third. But I think when Dak comes into that squad, into that starting 11, then we saw it towards the end of the game. I mean, it goes without saying he's a magician in that final third. Phenomenal. That little dink pass to Brereton, which I think we were probably unlucky to not get a penalty out of that, where he's got a hand on his back. You know, you can't really do that, but defender got away with one there. And again, like Jacob said, I think actually having Gallagher on that left-hand side is exposing Douglas a little bit more. He looks a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable when Brereton came on. I think Brereton gives you a little more impetus, a little more defensive capabilities as well. I just think I've heard comments of too little, too late, things like that, but it's not so much too little, too late. I think you just saw a better 11 on, at the end of the game than what started the game, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come, because with a fit Brereton and a fit Dak, we've got 2 players there that you say what you want about Mowbray, the squad, the players that we've got on the pitch, there's no doubt about it that them 2 players make our starting 11 a lot stronger. And we've absolutely missed Brereton. There's no doubt about it. And we've missed Dak for 12 months now, and you're hoping Dak comes back, the player he was. And I think looking at it on today's half an hour or whatever he got in the end, he looks fit, he looks ready, he looks hungry, and he looks like the Bradley Dak, if not more of the Bradley Dak than we saw last year. So fingers crossed we see that again next game. And if he's fit enough, start him because he's that good, isn't he? So disappointed to not get it over the line in the end. But unfortunately, when we don't get that first goal, we always look vulnerable to a mistake, and it was always going to be a mistake that had us conceding then, because other than that, we didn't look like conceding at all today, and they didn't look like scoring. And it was a worldie as well. We've got to put that out there. You can make a mistake, and it can be a really costly mistake, but in the end, Reach has got to put that in from 20 yards out or whatever he did, and it was a phenomenal strike. So, unfortunate to be conceding in them circumstances, but we made the mistake to cause the error in the first place. So, there we are, and hopefully we can improve things in the next few games.
Just a couple of things in response to what you said there, Luke. That forward thinking, I think I definitely noticed that from Mowbray today, particularly the first half. I thought the front 4 or the front 3 and then some of the players in behind were really fluid, just going all over the shop, left, right, middle. And I think that's definitely forward thinking about how to get Dak into this side. And then Andy Watson, just in response to what you've said as well, Luke, about Sam Gallagher and popping up on that left. Gallagher imbalances the whole system, unfortunately. And it is a big unfortunately, because we know Gallagher tries his best for the club and whatever. As a plan B, he can be effective. As soon as Brereton's 100% fit, he needs to go back in. Dak slots in ahead of Gallagher in that front 3 as well. So, Joe, I'm going to come to you. Obviously, you look into some of the stats and some of the possession stuff for us at Rovers Chat. FM Works highlighting here 71% of the possession, 16 shots and only 4 on target. And Pulis sussed out the 4-3-3 with ease. And then Jacobs mentioned about the box formation, and we've obviously got the positive of Dak and Brereton coming back today. What's your observations on how that game's gone today from a stats and possession perspective?
I think it's perfectly reasonable to be frustrated with the result, and perfectly reasonable to be frustrated with the way we defended in the first half. Lack of concentration for that goal. But I don't find it reasonable at all to blame the manager for today's result. I mean, can Tony Mowbray score the chances that Adam Armstrong had and make that one that hit the post go in and not come back out wide? And, Bradley Dak dinks one over the top for Brereton that he should put away. Armstrong had 2 or 3 himself. I mean, we didn't deserve to not win that game. We created enough chances. The system is working, but we're just not putting them away, unfortunately. We look really threatening when all the big players were on the pitch. And again, it just comes down to one defensive error. And yeah, it's reasonable to be upset with the way we defended, and it's reasonable to be gutted that we haven't come away with all 3. But I think there's plenty of promise there today. I think when you've got Dak, Rothwell, Elliott, Brereton and Armstrong all on the pitch, and we're knocking the ball around like that and hitting the post and breaking and creating chances. I mean, if that game carried on for another 5 minutes, I think we'd have got a goal. We looked like scoring when those guys were on the pitch, and the only reason they've not been on the pitch, of course, is injuries. We can be frustrated with Gallagher, but if we play like that when those players are on the pitch, Gallagher won't be getting a look in. He just won't. So yeah, I find promise in today's performance. Yes, I'm gutted that we haven't won, but I don't find it reasonable to blame the manager at all. I think the system created enough chances.
Yeah, and Hunter's Army here, Joe, in agreement with you. If people blame Mowbray today, then it sums up our fan base. It's poor communication from 2 players that cost us a goal. The change of tactics with 30 minutes to go gave us the best chance of a win. And yeah, I said this in the private chat that we had going during the game. Daniel Ayala and Barry Douglas are experienced championship defenders in their 30s. They know the mistake that they've made, and it's a mistake. It happens. That's football. And I think my criticism of the situation, I want Daniel Ayala just to clean that situation up. I want him to go right through Barry Douglas and everyone. He was just a bit too tentative for my liking. So I also think it's unfair just to square that labelly at Barry Douglas as well. I just think it's a joint error from two players that will know that they can do better. They know. It doesn't need us to say that, does it? So Jacob, I'm going to come to you then, just following the usual format of the show. You know, who played well for you today? Who stood out?
It would have to be. It'd have to be between Joe Rothwell, who's an amazing goal, and also the fact that Bradley Dack's come back and it looks like he hasn't been out for a year at all, does it? I mean, he's come on, he's doing 1-2 touches, passing it off, cute little flicks. I mean, there was a couple of times where he'd just be a flick around the defender, wouldn't it? Or a little ball that we saw into Brereton, and he tries to volley it, doesn't he? And he goes down, and he did look great. But they're the only positives I can take from this game, because he looked really good, but there's no excuse for being that poor for 60 minutes against the Sheffield Wednesday side that's second bottom. And you can't deny that the players we had out on the pitch shouldn't be creating chances in that first 60 minutes, and it shouldn't be left to Bradley Dack to have to come on to give us a spark, and it shouldn't be left to Ben Brereton to also come on, because we on paper we are better side than that Sheffield Wednesday team, and like I mentioned before, they had more chances than us until those players came on. So it's great to look at it. Obviously, the fact that we've got Brereton coming back, we've got Dack coming back, and Dack looked great today, and we're just going to have to hope that with Dack hopefully starting in, maybe in a couple games time, we can start playing like that from the goal, and not have to.
More chances than us, though? I don't think they.
I think we had seven.
One shot in that first half.
We had seven shots on goal, and they had one on target.
What chances did we have in the first half?
Well, I'm not saying that we created loads, but I wouldn't say that
was there any
on goal?
There was no chance. There was no chance we had in that first half where we looked anywhere close to scoring, if you ask me.
I think it's.
And I wouldn't call their chance a sitter, really. I don't think they created.
It wasn't a sitter.
It's a shot from range, really. So
the fact that they've only had 20-odd% possession, and they've had a clear-cut chance. Well, not clear-cut chance, but they've obviously
clear-cut.
I think clear-cut's probably praising them a bit too much. They didn't get in our box in that half. I mean, it's just a good effort from range, because Armstrong had that effort off his left. And obviously, if that's a better effort and that goes in, then, but it's not a clear-cut chance. It's like a quarter chance for me. I mean, I know that we weren't amazing first half, but I don't think that they were anything. I thought they were awful. Sheffield Wednesday, I thought they were dreadful.
I'm not saying they were good first half, but I'd much rather be playing like they did and be one goal up at half time than have 70% of the ball and not make one clear-cut chance at all through it.
The second bottom, though, aren't they? So I wouldn't want to play like them personally.
I'd rather be 1-0 up though at half time.
Well, maybe, but they're second bottom for a reason now. At the end of the day, I mean, they play that football under Pulis. I know Warnock does it quite well at Borough, but Houghton's struggling with it at Forest as well. I take your points though. I mean, that's the argument, isn't it? Whether you play like that or whether you don't. Wasn't trying to interrupt you. I just wanted to kind of add to that debate, mate.
No, I'd rather you have debate with me, because, as much as it's nice having the ball and stuff, in my opinion, we did not create one clear-cut chance at all until that came on and Brereton came on. There was no good chances I can think off the top of my head anyway, and it's not good enough. You can't be doing that. You can't have all that ball and just do nothing with it. And that's what we've seen so many times this season, what's been said so many times this season. The fact that teams can come, they can sit behind the ball, they can only have 20-odd, 30% possession, and they can still get the first goal. Because if we don't get the first goal, we look so lost. And obviously they just sat back, and like I said, it took the 60th minute changes for us to actually look like we were going to do something. If those changes hadn't been made earlier, I don't think we get our goal.
Yeah, well, the good thing, I suppose, is that they're back, aren't they, and that they're going to be here. So at least we don't have to worry about that for too much longer.
That's what I've said. That's the only positive I can take from it. If in a couple of games' time, Brereton and Dak are starting, hopefully we'll start like we were playing from the 60th minute. But it's still not good enough. Those players on the pitch that started should be creating chances against a poor Sheffield Wednesday team that only had 30% of possession.
Luke, I'm going to come on to you in a moment. Gaz Israel has made the comment here that probably sums up where our fan base is at the moment and what was just illuminated in that discussion there between Jacob and Joe. I think we've come on leaps and bounds as a side in terms of our possession of the ball, sometimes how good we look in attack, but it is turning that into those results, which is hampering us at the moment. It's that missing ingredient. And actually, Jacob, I'm not surprised that we're relying on Bradley Dack and Ben Brereton to come on and change the game because they're two of our best attacking players. You know, you line up everybody in our team and they're the two that you're probably hanging your hat on, as well as Adam Armstrong. So I'm not surprised that we are relying on them. So we do need those players. But it's frustrating for Rovers because I think we've been licking our lips all season, haven't we? We've seen us win 5-0. We've seen us win 4-0. We've seen us win 3-0. We know what we can do. And as Gaz puts in his comment there, it's so frustrating when we know what the team can do. But this is the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday are in dire straits off the pitch in particular. They are doing absolutely everything to stay in this division. If they go down as a result of this points deduction and everything like that, they could spiral out of control with the stuff going off the pitch. So Pulis's number one priority for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club is to keep them in the division. And getting a point at Ewood Park is the way that they do that. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to come and sit behind the ball. And later on in the season, if Rovers are going to make the playoffs, we're going to come up against sides that are fighting relegation and going to sit behind the ball because they need that point to stay up. So this is something I think we're going to have to get used to as Rovers fans. But the thing I constantly comfort myself with, and I've said it on these streams before, we've been there in 15-16 or 12-13 or whenever it was, and we never had the ball. We never had possession of the football. We never looked comfortable in the way that we do. That's progress for me. And I've been there at those games when I've not seen us have a shot on target or do anything. So I think we just need to stick with it a little bit more. And it might just be that the sale of one player that allows us to get three more, that balances the whole side out, is the thing that gets us over the line. So we do just need to be a bit patient, I think. So Luke, sorry, that was a really big ramble and segue into you. So Bradley Dack came back today, of course, and looked great. If you want to talk about Dack, then please do. But who else stood out for you today?
I mean, I want to get away from this funereal atmosphere, really, because it's ridiculous. Because there's so many positives to say from this today. I don't think we're having these conversations if we don't have that absolute, moment of miscommunication between them two, and then Reach gets that goal, which. It's it's a typical Adam Reach goal. He's got that in his locker, hasn't he? He scores them sort of goals week in, week out in the past, and we're on the unfortunate end of it. But I think we're going to half time completely dominating that first half against the Sheffield Wednesday side that have kept 11 men behind the ball and have defended for their absolute lives, created absolutely nothing, and we're in a pretty dominating position going into the second half. With creative players to come off the bench to just unlock them a little bit. So I think we got it right, but for a defensive mistake, and it happens. I know it happens a lot, and I know certain aspects of our fan base are going to keep shouting from the hilltops that it can't keep happening. But you've got to look at consistency. We're playing with a different back four every week, and if Ayala and Lenihan are the defensive partnership that Mowbray, sees as the two that start when everyone's fit, they've got to keep playing together. There were moments when, we saw the very best of Ayala. There were a strike that he completely put his body in the way of, and it's potentially on target, that strike. It's a bit difficult to see really, but he definitely got his body in the way and stopped a chance going in on Kaminski. So. There's moments there that you can see that we've got some positivity. But if you haven't got a back four playing together week in, week out, that's the one area where you need to have a level of consistency, a level of chemistry, understanding. Without a consistent back four, you're always going to be prone to making an error. And if you make an error, as a defensive player, you're letting someone in on goal straight away, and that's where we've come unstuck this season. It's just unfortunate that we're always losing defenders when Scotty Wharton's playing really well. He has an injury that's complete freak injury, as they call it, and he's then out for the season. Williams is in and out. Ayala's been injured. Douglas has been in and out and not really had a fair crack at the whip with being in and out with Bell, but. Yeah, I just wanted to get that rant off my chest, really, because I think it's very, very negative, all of this. I think we've actually got to look at some positives. Yes, we can't sit here and say that we're all done to with injuries, because every team's like that. But the basis is there. We just haven't really got the consistency going, and you see it when Dak comes on. Like Jacob said, it completely changed the game. His 1 and 2 touch football, we were so much quicker, so much more efficient, just moving the ball in attacking areas, unlocking the defence, little cute passes that would, like Joe alluded to, the chance for Brereton. It's definitely there. Gone on a ramble, so let's just go back to who you're saying played well. For me, Niambi again. Ever consistent, every single game. We know what we're getting from Brian Niambi, and if we had a little bit more of that down the left hand side, which I think actually was coming towards the end of the game. I think as soon as Brereton came on, Douglas did look that little bit more comfortable and looked like he had a better understanding then with his with his left attacker further up the pitch. So we've got some positives to take there, I think. Absolutely.
Just looking at the comments and just the way that people are agreeing with different people on the panel today, it just shows where the fan base is at the moment. Actually, just how we're all reading the situation, but there is absolutely that undertone of frustration, because I think we all do know that the results could be better, and we know what this team's got. So I can see that in all of the comments. But Luke, just to some of the comments on the back of what you said. T Mason 86, it's the defence. Not keeping clean sheets is costing us. If teams have to attack to score, we score. And then Eugene has asked a really good kind of $1 million question, I guess. Is this team preferred 11 with Dak, Brereton and Travis on the cusp of really pushing into playoffs? Is our defence strong enough? Is our attack clinical enough? I think our attack on its day is clinical enough. Yeah. Whether the defence is strong enough, there's probably that is up for debate. But we've not seen them play 20, 30 games in a row like some of the promoted sides in the past. So I might reserve judgment on that one a little bit until I have seen it. So Joe, I'm going to come on to you if I can then, mate. Just for players who you feel played well today, who stood out for you?
Well, obviously Rothwell, another great run. That goal for me was better than the Brentford one, which was pretty impressive anyway. I thought second half for a good 20 minutes or so, Rothwell was kind of the only one with much of a spark. I thought they kind of man-marked Elliott. I mean, he still got quite a bit in the game, but they did man-mark him. They tried to nullify him. And then when that young centre-back came on for Sheffield Wednesday on that left centre-back side, I think Armstrong started to get a little bit more. And, that turn from Armstrong where he hits the post, if that goes in, and then the one where it hits his face, if that goes in as well, we're calling it a masterclass performance from him, aren't we? And just a little bit of luck today. So, yeah, Rothwell's played well. And obviously when Dak came on, he was just, it was just a different class, wasn't it? I mean, like that chip over the top for Brereton, there isn't a single player in our team creating that chance apart from him. Same for a few of his little touches. We broke that midfield line so much more often after he came on. So yeah, Dak, Rothwell, and I was a bit frustrated that Bradley Johnson came off so early. I know that Downing was okay when he came on, but I think they started to have a lot more chance. It was very end-to-end for a while because we lacked a little bit more robustness in midfield. And I thought that Johnson had done okay. But yeah, for me, probably Rothwell was the man of the match today.
Just in terms of who I thought stood out, I actually thought Odebajo, if that's how you say his name. I thought he actually had a good game against Nyambe today, and I thought thought both of them played really well against each other. I thought Nyambe played well, and I thought Odebajo did as well. I thought they were pound for pound just two real good, kind of strong, physical fullbacks going at each other. So I thought he had a good game, and yeah, Bradley Dack, you know, how great it was to see him back. And I think we all probably had those little niggles in our head, didn't we? That he's going to come on. What's he going to be like? How's he been for the under-23s? And it was just so nice just to see him slot back in. And you could just see the lift that the players got. And I think you just saw Armstrong come a bit more central. You saw him be the striker rather than flirting around the box. You know, he was leaving that to the likes of Rothwell, Elliott, and Dax. So that's something I'm looking forward to seeing, Armstrong playing more centrally in that way. And Brereton came on as well and made an impact on a couple of occasions. So yeah, I'm not getting too downbeat about today. I think that 5 backed up by Lewis Travis, you know, Rothwell, Armstrong, Dak, Elliott, I'm missing one, someone help me out, Brereton, and then Lewis Travis, you know, that's mouth-watering for me. That's good at this level. But as some of the comments say, it's about those defensive injuries, isn't it? So there we go. So Jacob, I'm going to come to you as we go through the talking points then, as we usually do. So first half, lots of possession for Rovers. I thought we looked pretty comfortable, as some of the comments have said. You know, lots of passing around, etc., etc. Not too many clear-cut chances in the first half, as you've said. What more were you expecting from Rovers in that first half, knowing that it's a Tony Pulis side that is coming to Ewood Park and they're going to try and get that point to help them with their cause? You know, what more did you want to see from Rovers?
A chance. Like I've already said, I don't think there was one chance in the first half, and you can't have 70% of the ball and go into the first half without a chance. But the opposition has a goal. It's not good enough. And like I've already said, it's all right having this possession, but it's too much sideways passing and slow build up, and it's obviously it just plays into their hands when they're sat behind the ball because they're just waiting for those chances to get forward. And that was the thing with Sheffield Wednesday. They were very poor in that first half. They had that one chance and it went in. Well, it's not even a chance, but like we've said, they've gone into half time with a goal, and it was the only attacking sort of venture they had in that first half. And despite it being a defensive mistake, and it's a freak mistake, I can admit to that, it's still not good enough, because although I'm not complaining about the goal, because it's a great goal. He's took it brilliantly, and it is a mistake, and mistakes happen in football. I'm not complaining about that. I'm complaining about the fact that we've had 70% of the ball and done nothing with it in the first half, and it's not good enough. You can't do that in this league against second bottom and go in at half time 1-0 down. And even though we're putting a positive spin on things, but these players are back, and like you've just said, Ryan, that midfield and the front three is mouth-watering, but how many games are we going to have those players on the pitch? We're going to have to rely on players like Holtby and Johnson coming into this team, and if they can't perform, then we're just not going to be making any push for the playoffs, because it's not working when they are on the pitch. Nothing is happening, and it was relying on those players to come on, and it's a squad. And it's a squad that has to be fully utilised this season of all seasons, due to COVID, due to the amount of injuries, due to the congested schedule. And we can't rely on our very best players just to come on the pitch and then we start playing, then we start getting chances. You just can't do that. We have to be, from the very get-go, have to be looking to create chances against a team that's second bottom. And when we're having 70% of the ball, it's not good enough.
Luke, I'm going to come to you next, but just a couple of comments that we've had here. So Rick Trowbridge, think Dak will be key to unlocking defensive sides. Frustrating that we can't break them down without him, but that's reality. These sides have us sussed at the moment, e.g. Rotherham and Stoke, and then stand and stare only Dak and Rothwell give us directness, too much tic-tac-toe on the edge of the box. Otherwise, let's make one thing clear. Bradley Dak is one of the best players in the Championship, and these are players that we can ill afford to miss. And I actually think we've coped better than I was expecting us to do without Bradley Dak, actually. When that injury happened this time last year, I was absolutely gutted. I just thought, wow, you cannot take a player like that out the side. I actually think we've coped really well and adjusted really well. And the likes of Adam Armstrong and Ben Brereton have stepped up. But, let's just not forget one thing here. Dak is a fantastic player. And yes, we might now have reached the point after a calendar year where we are absolutely begging for this guy to be back in the side. Where do you sit on this with, this transition that we appear to be on now? We've played well through the season. We've had a frustrating few games, but Dak's back now. Where are you, Luke?
I'm not sitting in a pessimistic position at all. I'm feeling really quite comfortable about the way it's gone. I think we're sitting fairly mid-table. We've got our most influential players coming back, and for me, we're what 5 points off the playoffs. If you're talking fine margins. It's annoying listening to and reading comments and things when we're in this project and we've all bought into this project. And I mean, the players are on side. You've got Bradley Dak signing a 3-year contract. That's absolutely phenomenal. Like, how are we managing to keep all the players like Bradley Dak if these players aren't playing for Mowbray and buying into this project? For me, you can see a team spirit. You can see players that are playing for the shirt, and you're looking, like I say, at fine margins. If we take 3 points from Stoke and we get an extra 2 points here, we're sitting in 6th place, and we've sat through we've sat through 180 minutes of absolutely anti-football, and we've been beat 1-0 and drew 1-1, and we're talking these key players like your Daks that can unlock defences like that. We are an average Blackburn Rovers side that are mid-table most seasons, and we've got these quality footballers that unfortunately aren't in the side now. And you can't just expect us to unlock defences that are purposefully coming here to set up to take a point away or nick a goal, which is exactly what Stoke have done and exactly what Sheffield Wednesday have done. And that's no mean feat. You can look in the Premier League and you look at teams like Man City when West Brom go there and get a point. Like that is what teams are looking to do, and that is what Blackburn Rovers used to do as a Premier League side under Sam Allardyce. And how many Blackburn Rovers fans can honestly put their hand on their heart and say when Sam Allardyce left that they were excited that we were going to get some fantastic manager, that we're going to play this really expansive football and it was going to be great. That didn't happen, of course. We know how history went on that one. But you can't just want to play negative football. You got to enjoy watching your team play as well. And I think that is coming. And I think with just unlocking these fine margins and looking at these key areas of the pitch where it's not quite going right, I think that's where we're going to make real ground. We're sat here now trying to assess a playoff push, and we've played 21 games. We're not even halfway through a season yet. We've got a long way to go, and we've made some serious ground and got some real positives to look at. And I think for me, you're looking at Armstrong now as well. It's a player that scored 14, 15 goals in a short space of time, and now he's not really firing on them same cylinders. And whether that's now because he's finding himself in these different positions. I mean, Joe can tell us that where Armstrong now is on the field of play. Because for me, he's not taking chances in areas that he'd usually be taking chances. He seems to be swiping at shots from all areas on the pitch now, and never really looks like scoring. And I think that's absolutely due to the players he's got around him, and now he's trying to drag himself out of position to just get on the ball, and he just looks a frustrated figure. And I think that's another one. As soon as we've got players back, Armstrong can settle into where he feels most comfortable and start getting goals again. And it's it's a fine balance to get right. But I think it's there. I think it's slowly coming. And if we were to listen to read some of the comments and Mowbray out, Mowbray's not right. It's the players are great and Mowbray's not. Then we're absolutely back to square one, because Mowbray's built this and Mowbray's got these players and Mowbray's developed this squad of players now over a number of years and absolutely mouth-watering squad that we're all very, very happy about. There's no doubt about that. We just need to turn it into results.
Joe, you wanted to come in, didn't you? Just on one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself. It's frustrating because Sheffield Wednesday play the way they play. And I don't know, it's purist, so I'm going to assume that 99% of the time that's the way they play, although I won't pretend to know loads about them this season. But they play like that, and yes, they've scraped a draw today, but they're second bottom for a reason. And I think if we came away from the way we like to play or want to play, I think we wouldn't find ourselves any further up the table or doing any better. We can't sit back for an entire half and defend because we haven't got the defence for it. Our strength is in those attacking areas. So we've got to play attacking football because we can't do what Sheffield Wednesday do, which is play five at the back, pack the midfield, hoof the ball up and expect Adam Reach to just score a blinder. And they're down there for a reason. But then also on that note, I think, Jacob, you said we can't rely on those better players, but I think you've got to. I think everyone's got to be reliant on their better players. Yes, I think our entire squad is capable of promotion, but I don't think a team with no settled back four and Sam Gallagher on the left wing and no Dak, and no Brereton, I don't think that team is anything like promotion worthy. And I
should
would
it be Sheffield Wednesday?
Say again?
But should it be doing better in that first half against second bottom? That's my point.
I don't know.
I still don't think we were that bad.
I don't know who played
that bad
in the first half, really. I think they stopped us creating chances in that first half, but we found a way to start creating chances in that second half, which was by bringing on those better players. So for me, it's easier to be optimistic about those players coming back and that we have now got them, rather than saying, well, the B team wasn't good enough before they did arrive. We've just given Dak a new contract. He'll probably be one of our highest earners now. The only one is probably Gallagher because of the money he was signed for. But, Dak and Brereton, I would say, are key, and having a settled back four as well. Obviously, Williams injury, Wharton injury. But I don't expect promotion. But yeah, I would rather us play attacking football. Our strengths are in those attacking areas. And if we tried to emulate what perhaps maybe Stoke are doing, they are playing defensive football and doing it well. So they're currently, I think, are they 7th yet on 34 points. So they have a team that is defensively solid enough to play that way. And I just don't think we do. I don't think our defence is good enough in that way at all. I like Nyambe. I think he gets forward really well, but I don't actually think defensively, in terms of keeping the ball out, we have that kind of defence. I don't think we could pack the midfield and play that way. And in some ways, I wouldn't want us to.
And just looking at some of the comments just on this whole debate about the first half, Andy, I agree that we were too pedestrian in the first half. We thought that we had 90 minutes to break them down because they were never going to score. The sucker punch makes that look worse than it was. And then Michael Pearson, lots of negativity. Every team has peaks and drop-offs. To dominate and control the number of games we have this season is extraordinary for Rovers. And Michael, that's where I'm at. Again, I just go back to that thing that I've been at those Rovers games where we've not bloody touched the ball. And if Sheffield Wednesday had come to Ewood Park and had 70% possession, I'd be more worried. That's what would be concerning me. So I'm with you, Michael, on that one. Absolutely. So I'm not going to focus on the Adam Reach goal. It's happened in the first half. We've acknowledged it's a mistake from two players, but what a great thing. We've spoken about the squad depth before, Jacob. Being able to bring on Stuart Downing, Bradley Datt, Ben Brereton as a triple change to go and change that game. It did have an impact, didn't it? We did look better in that second half, and we did start to create chances, in my view, in particular, when Adam Armstrong went and planted himself central as a striker and allowed everyone else to do everything that they do.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that you can attribute that to the fact we've got 3 quality players coming on. We obviously had to take the game to him because we were still 1-0 down. And like Joe mentioned before, we had to take off a more defensive-minded player like Bradley Johnson to bring on a Stuart Downing who's not as capable defensively, but someone who has the quality to pass the ball about. And I think a lot of it can also be attributed to the formation change, which I thought helped a lot. I think that obviously helped Armstrong a lot because it meant he were no longer on the wing. I think obviously it suits Dak better because he's playing that attacking midfielder role, and a lot of the times you were seeing him in the box just trying to get a tap-in sort of goal in that sort of position. I'm not sure if it helped Brereton too much because I don't actually think Brereton was as good as we've seen him. And I know he's coming back from an injury, so I'm not expecting him to be, but I do feel he was a bit quiet. And obviously had the penalty shout, but other than that, he was a bit quiet. So we'll have to see how he goes, if this is the formation we're going to play from now on. And it's the formation I think we should start playing because, like I've mentioned, I think teams have just sussed this formation out now, the 4-3-3. It seems to be very easy to just sit behind and just let us have pointless possession at this moment in time. You know, it's happened 2 games in a row now, and it's where they've just sat behind the ball completely, but twice they've been able to get the first goal. So, and you know, we can even look beyond those games where we've come up against Rotherham and Millwall, and we've been quite lucky to get the wins in those games because we didn't deserve them. So I think, in my opinion, from now on, we should change to this box formation, just give it a go, because I just don't feel like we can carry on with the 4-3-3. It's been sussed out now, and I think a change is needed, in my opinion.
And Luke, in a bid for us to get some positivity back into our Boxing Day, let's talk about the Joe Rothwell goals. So, you know, it was looking like a frustrating day at the office for Rovers again, but what a goal that was from Rothwell. You know, we're looking at someone to stand up and claw us back into the game. You know, it was an excellent goal, wasn't it?
And that's exactly what Joe Rothwell can do, and that's what he's shown glimpses of over the last couple of seasons now. And he's starting to do it on a more regular basis, which is good to see. And like, you know, Joe was comparing it to the Brentford goal, you know, in a similar sense, but he's picked it up even deeper than that. And he must have took 3, 4, 5 players out of the game, and it just glides past players like they're not there. Really confident on the ball, and you can see it's almost as if he'll pick up the ball, and you know when he's going to drive on. He almost just has a little look around, gets his head down, and it's like, this ball's mine, no one's taking it off me. And it's really good to see, because it's that positivity that we want. Because it's all well and good talking about you know, these teams setting up to defend against us, and that's exactly what they are doing. And we're going to come across teams like that, and there's only a couple of teams in this division that you know, do set up that way, but it's because they lack quality, and they just, you know, 2 banks of 4 and keep everyone out is basically how they try and do it. And you need to be lucky in games like that, really. You need just something to drop your way, and you've got to just stay in the final third and play in the final third consistently, really. And you know, you need players like Rothwell to maybe get on the ball and perhaps just make it happen. And he did that today again. So I'd like to see Joe Rothwell playing alongside Bradley Dax. I think that's really exciting. But then we really do need someone really reliable then to clean up in behind. So
Luke,
get the best out of Bradley Johnson. Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, one thing that I kind of noticed, and I was quite scared about this before Dak came back, was before he got injured, we were very much the look up after you've got the ball and where is Bradley kind of thing.
Yeah.
A couple of times in that second half, and it was Stuart Downing actually, which is really surprising because of his experience. He got the ball and he would look up and just try and find where Bradley was. And even though the ball wasn't on, even though there was 2 men there to intercept, we're like desperately trying to find a way to work it to him. And you can understand why, obviously. But do you think we've got to be careful to not see? It's difficult. You want him involved, but for me, anyway, when you've got Rothwells and Elliott's on the pitch, and obviously Armstrong, we can't become that Where's Bradley team again. And I was a bit worried when I saw Downing playing like that. It was just a little bit too much like, okay, where is he? I didn't like it. What do you think?
I know exactly what you're saying there, and that's exactly how we did play. And there's teams that play like that when they've got that creative player. You see United do that a little bit through Fernandes now. And when you've got quality like, your Brereton's, your Elliott's and Rothwell, like you say, I think if we actually utilise them a little bit more, it'll give Bradley Dack a lot more joy because he'll get a lot more space on that football field and start to play in the pocket a little bit. And I think we've actually relied on Bradley Dack too much in the past because he was our one bright spark, and we didn't really have any real quality on the pitch other than Bradley Dack. Graham got the goals, and Rothwell had the odd glimpse back then, and we didn't really have your Elliott's and we didn't have Brereton anyway firing on all cylinders like he is. So I think now we might even see a better Bradley Dack because I think he'll get a lot more space and just get to play in that pocket that he wants to do because he's a creative footballer. Obviously wants to get on the ball, but soon gets sussed out if you try and play through one channel, and I think we're better than that.
And Joe, I'm just going to give you the final comment on the game before we look to close off the stream. So just a couple of comments here. So FM Works have been saying that 4-3-3 isn't right for a while. And then Jacob has obviously spoken about the box formation, and you've covered it on our pre-match streams before the box formation. Would you be looking at a formation change now you've got the likes of Dack and Brereton back involved, and you can rely on the likes of Gallagher and Dolan from the bench, for example? How would you be starting games? What formation would you be playing? And, would you be using those options off the bench to change it up if we need to?
I think the 4-3-3 is fine with the right left winger and the right winger. Right winger. Huh?
The right left winger.
4-3-3. I think when Gallagher's on at left wing, Barry Douglas struggles because he doesn't perhaps have the defensive abilities, Gallagher. And I think that we struggle to progress forward because our only option is Elliott because Gallagher can't do what Brereton does. I'd start with the 4-3-3. I think the box formation is interesting, and I think it works as a little plan B to kind of throw the team that you're playing. But I wouldn't start with it, I don't think. I don't know. Or you could start with it and switch around, but that box formation, as we saw today, leaves you very vulnerable defensively. Because the box formation kind of relies on having like Downings and Holtbys in those deeper roles rather than Johnsons and Travises and Evans, and you're much more defensively susceptible in that box formation. I like it, especially when we're chasing games. So I think when we find ourselves 1-0 down, which at the end of the day will happen, it happens to the best teams, like we found ourselves today, then yeah, I think we can use it. But I would start with the 4-3-3. It's a little bit more solid, a little bit less susceptible to counter attacks from the other sides, and with the right left winger, I think it's really threatening. I mean, we have scored so many goals this year. For us to score that many goals, I think it would be like fixing something that isn't broken to shift away from it now. We've got a striker on 15 goals,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I constantly claw onto. I do not think we're far away. I think a little bit of luck with injuries and a little bit of Bradley Dack magic just to, really just spark something into life in that front three, front four area. And, I don't think we're a million miles away, but you made a point earlier, Joe, that I just think we all need to remember. It's where you think this Rovers side will go. I know, Joe, that you think we won't make the playoffs, and there are others that think that we will. So based on what perspective you're coming from, it's probably, agitating you at the moment. For me, I'm really happy to see us with the possession, to play nice stuff. And yes, I know that we're probably not doing a lot with that possession, but boy, I've seen some awful Rovers performances over the years. So I just want to see that progression carry on, and we will get there eventually, I'm sure. Whether it's this season, probably not. So I think it is just it is a massive dividing thing in the fan base at the moment, and you can see that in the comments, and you can see that with Rovers fans who I talk to. It's hard because football is a short-term thing, isn't it? We all want instant success, and we're looking at these contracts that aren't signed, and we want to get our debts paid off by getting to the Premier League. I get it. I understand it all. But, we are on a bit of a journey still. Jacob, I'm just going to come to you for our final talking point today. So it was actually Jonathan within the Rovers Chat group that made this observation, actually. Tom Tribal wasn't in the 20-man squad today, and I don't think there was an injury or anything there. And Jonathan made the point that now we have got Dak and Brereton coming back. Lewis Travis isn't far away, and then we've got the likes of Elliot Bennett and others. I think Tom Tribal was a signing that came in particularly in response to the Lewis Travis injury, just to give us bodies there now. Could you see Tom Tribal now being released back to Norwich in January to free up some funds for wages for us to make a signing in the window? In particular, in defence, El Scotty's made the point here. Hopefully, Venky's let us get a centre-back in January, for example. We know we're light there. So could you see that happening? Tribal go in and someone else coming in?
I could see it happening. He did look rather agitated when he came off against Stoke, didn't he? He did look rather frustrated, but he did actually have a really good game against Stoke. So I can understand why, but obviously I can understand the change as well because we were 1-0 down. So you want to take that defensive-minded midfielder off. But I think he's been a bit hit and miss at times. I've compared him to a German Corey Evans, especially after that Luton game. But a lot of those poor performances have come in games where he's been paired with Bradley Johnson in that midfield three. What we've seen multiple times when we've had Evans in there with Bradley Johnson, it doesn't work when you've got those two defensive-minded midfielders. But saying that, I wouldn't mind releasing him at all. I think Davenport has shown this season that he's a good choice to have, and for someone who is going to be a bit part player once Travis is back, because it's going to be Travis starting, and then it's going to be a chuck up of either Tribal or Johnson who comes on, isn't it, or rotating if needs be. So I'd much rather have him go back to Norwich, have Johnson as your main backup, and then if Davenport has to be called upon, then he's called upon, and as he's shown, he's more than capable, in my opinion. So I think let Tribal go back, and we do desperately need a centre-back, so we're going to have to get one in January, because I think all of our defensive centre-back choices are injury-prone. I mean, I can't really comment that on Wharton, obviously, but he is injured. So the ones we've got left, Williams, Lenihan and Ayala, all have a track record of getting injured, don't they? So, and with the amount of games they're going to have to be playing for the rest of the season, between the three of them, it's not good, and we don't want to be in a situation again where we're having to play Bradley Johnson at centre-back, do we?
No, and I think, Mowbray has been pretty public about our finances and our ability to do anything in January. So if we have to send Tribal back to free up some capital to then go and get a centre-back, I'm happy with that, particularly with what you say, Jacob. We've got Davenport who's come in and looked well, Travis to come back from injury, etc., etc. So it's that type of trading, as we call it, that we will have to do. And I still maintain the view that we're going to have to trade one of our bigger hitters to do other stuff with this squad as well. Whether it's Armstrong, whether it's Dak, whether it's Lenihan, I don't know. I do think that type of trade will happen, not just with loan players going back early as well in the future. So I think that's a model that's sustainable for the club and one that, we can rely on in the future. So yeah, Tribal would go with our blessing. I think he's done okay, but yeah, we're crying out for a defensive reinforcement. So thought it was a good observation from Jonathan earlier, because I hadn't clocked it before he told me. So thanks to Jonathan for raising that one. So Rovers fans, we've hit the hour mark there. So we are going to end the stream now. Really, really frustrating day. It's not been a good Boxing Day for us again. We haven't won on Boxing Day since the year 2000 in the second tier. So it would have been nice to win today, particularly against the Sheffield Wednesday side lower down the division. But, it's happened. We've drawn 1-1, but we've had a nice Joe Rothwell goal to see. We are back in action in a couple of days' time against Huddersfield. So hopefully we can put that right in our next game, and indeed the next game after that. Thank you to Joe, to Jacob and to Luke for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
No worries, mate.
Pleasure. Let's all.
No worries.
It's been a good balance panel.
Hope
It's,
that the next game's a win. That's just it's these streams are becoming
It
a
has to be.
little bit somber, aren't they?
it's hard. It is really hard doing a stream after a game that you feel you should have won, and when it's 1-1 and we've not made many chances, and it's Sheffield Wednesday. You know, I get it. I get the frustration. I'm frustrated as well. But for me, I'm still looking at perspective. I'm still looking at context. I'm still looking at the bigger picture. And it's a side that I do enjoy to watch. I do like watching Rovers at the moment, as frustrating as it is when we're not getting those results. So bit by bit, we're getting there, I think. And if we get those contracts signed, you made the point earlier, Luke, Bradley Dack has signed a new contract. Yeah. We get those other lads now tied up onto contracts as well on the back of that. Then we've got loads of reasons to be positive. So let's hang in there, see where we end up, and maybe next season is the season, but let's get as close as we can. Just a reminder to everyone, we do still have the raffle open for our fundraiser. We will close it in a day or two's time. We have raised £730 for the Salvation Army, which is brilliant. Thanks to everyone for their donations. And, of course, please do donate at rcdonate.com and get yourself in the raffle for the home or away shirt. We'll be back with our usual pre-match live stream in a couple of days' time before the Huddersfield game. But enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day, everyone. Stay safe, take care, and we will leave you with our sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. Bye, all.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.